The silence of space was broken by the harsh beeping of an emergency beacon. Captain Jake Martinez sat in the pilot's seat of his merchant vessel, the Stellar Dawn, staring at the flashing red light on his control panel. His weathered hands moved across the console as he tried to locate the source of the distress signal. The beacon was coming from somewhere in the asteroid field of the Kepler 442 system, a place where most ships avoided traveling due to the dangerous floating rocks and limited patrol coverage. Jake rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the navigation display. He had been hauling cargo between the outer colonies for 3 years now, and emergency beacons usually meant trouble. Pirates liked to use fake distress signals to lure merchant ships into traps. The smart thing to do would be to ignore it and continue on his route to the mining station at Kepler 442b. His cargo hold was full of medical supplies and food that the miners desperately needed, and any delay would cost him money. "Captain, we're picking up that beacon again," said Alex Rodriguez from the engineering station. Alex was a young man with dark hair and quick hands who could fix almost anything on the ship. He had joined Jake's crew 6 months ago after his previous ship was scrapped for parts. "It's definitely coming from Sector 7 of the asteroid belt." Amy Johnson, the navigator, looked up from her charts. She was a blonde woman in her early 30s who had worked on merchant ships for most of her adult life. Her knowledge of space routes was better than most computer systems. "That's a dangerous area, Jake. Lots of big rocks and no easy escape routes if something goes wrong." Jake leaned back in his chair and considered his options. The beacon was transmitting on human frequencies, which meant it was likely a real emergency. But entering an asteroid field to investigate could put his crew and cargo at risk. He had responsibilities to the people waiting for his supplies, and to Alex and Amy who trusted him to keep them safe. "Play the message," Jake said after a moment of thought. Amy pressed a button on her console and a woman's voice filled the bridge. The transmission was weak and full of static, but the desperation in the speaker's voice was clear. "This is Dr. Lisa Campbell aboard the research vessel New Horizon. We have been attacked by Vorthan pirates. Our engines are offline and life support is failing. Please, if anyone receives this message, we need immediate assistance." Repeating. "This is Dr. Lisa Campbell requesting emergency aid." Jake had heard about the Vorthans before. They were a reptilian species from the Outer Rim who had been causing trouble for human colonies and ships. Most people described them as aggressive and violent with little respect for other species. They were known to attack merchant vessels and research ships, stealing cargo and technology before leaving their victims to die in space. "How long has that message been transmitting?" Jake asked. Alex checked his instruments. "About 4 hours, Captain. The signal is getting weaker, which probably means their power is running low." Jake stood up and walked to the main view screen. Through the transparent aluminum, he could see the asteroid field stretching out before them. The rocks varied in size from small pebbles to massive boulders larger than their ship. Navigation would be difficult and dangerous, especially if they had to move quickly to avoid hostile forces. "What do you think, Amy? Can we make it through that field safely?" Amy studied her navigation charts and ran some calculations on her computer. "It won't be easy, but I think we can do it. The asteroids are spread out enough that we should be able to find a path through. The biggest risk is if we run into those Vorthans who attack the research ship." Jake nodded and made his decision. "Alex, how are our weapon systems?" "We've got the basic defensive package that comes with most merchant ships," Alex replied. 2 plasma cannons and a small missile launcher. Nothing that would stand up to a real military vessel, but it might be enough to discourage pirates. Set course for Sector 7. Amy, plot us the safest route you can find through those asteroids. Alex, bring all systems online and prepare for possible combat. The Stellar Dawn changed direction and headed into the asteroid field. Jake watched the view screen as massive rocks drifted past their ship. Amy called out course corrections to avoid collisions while Alex monitored their engines and weapon systems. The ship moved slowly and carefully through the dangerous terrain. After 20 minutes of careful navigation, They found the New Horizon. The research vessel was wedged between two large asteroids, its hull scarred by weapons fire. Several sections of the ship showed signs of explosive damage, and Jake could see that the main engine assembly had been almost completely destroyed. It was amazing that anyone aboard was still alive. "Scanning the ship now," Amy reported. "I'm detecting one life. Sign aboard." "It's weak but stable." Jake opened a communication channel. "New Horizon, this is Captain Martinez of the merchant vessel Stellar Dawn. We received your distress call and are here to help." A few seconds later, Dr. Campbell's voice came through. The speakers, she sounded exhausted but relieved. "Captain Martinez, thank you for coming. I thought I was going to die out here. The Vorthans destroyed my engines and took most of my research data. I've been running on emergency power for hours." "We're going to get you out of there, Doctor. Can you make it to an airlock? We'll bring our ship alongside and transfer you over." "Yes, I can reach airlock 2, but Captain, you need to know something. The Vorthans who attacked me weren't just random pirates. They were specifically hunting human research vessels. They took my data about a new species we discovered, and they said something about clearing humans out of this sector." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. If the Vorthans were targeting human researchers, it meant they were planning something bigger than simple piracy. "We'll worry about that later, Doctor. Right now, let's focus on getting you to safety." The rescue operation took 30 minutes. Jake carefully maneuvered the Stellar Dawn next to the damaged research vessel, while Amy monitored for any signs of Vorthan ships. Alex prepared the airlock and helped Dr. Campbell aboard once she made the transfer. She was a woman in her 40s, with brown hair and tired eyes, carrying a small bag of personal belongings and whatever research data she had managed to save. "Welcome aboard, Doctor," Jake said as they met in the ship's small common area. "You're safe now." Dr. Campbell shook his hand gratefully. "Thank you, Captain. You saved my life. But I'm afraid we might all be in danger now. The Vorthans will be looking for me, and they don't leave witnesses." Jake looked at his crew and made another decision that would change everything. "Then we better get moving. Amy, set course for the nearest human outpost. Alex, keep scanning for hostile ships. We're going to make sure Dr. Campbell gets home safely, no matter what it takes." War Commander Thexkar stood on the bridge of his battle cruiser, the Serpent's Fang, staring at the tactical display with growing anger. His yellow eyes narrowed as he watched the human merchant vessel escape from the asteroid field. The scales on his neck flared with irritation as he realized that the human research ship had been rescued before his forces could return to finish the job. "Commander, the human vessel has jumped to hyperspace," reported his second-in-command, Captain Vextel. "They were too far away for us to intercept." Thexkar's clawed hand gripped the railing of the command platform. The Vorthans had been systematically hunting human research vessels for months, stealing their technology and data to gain advantages in their expansion plans. The attack on Dr. Campbell's ship was supposed to be simple. Take the research data, destroy the ship, and leave no witnesses. But now a human merchant captain had interfered with their operations. "Find out everything about that merchant ship," Thexkar ordered. "I want to know who was on board, where they came from, and where they might be heading." The intelligence officer at the communications station worked quickly on his console. The ship's transponder identified it as the Stellar Dawn, registered to a Captain Jake Martinez. "It's a standard merchant vessel, armed with basic defensive weapons." "A merchant," Thexkar said with contempt. "These humans think they can interfere with Vorthan military operations. They need to learn that there are consequences for such actions." Captain Vextel looked concerned. "Commander, should we report this incident to the High Command?" "They might want to know that humans are actively rescuing each other in our territory." "No," Thexkar replied quickly. "This is a minor problem that I can handle myself. Send patrol ships to search the trade routes. Find this Stellar Dawn and destroy it. No human vessel will leave our territory after witnessing our operations." Meanwhile, 3 days later and many light years away, Admiral Paul Henderson was reviewing intelligence reports in his office at Earth's military headquarters. The Admiral was a tall man with gray hair and sharp blue eyes who had served in the Earth Defense Force for over 30 years. His desk was covered with datapads containing information from across human space. Lieutenant Colonel Susan Wright entered his office carrying a priority message. She was a woman in her early 40s with short red hair and a serious expression. As head of military intelligence, she had access to information from all human colonies and outposts. Admiral, we've received a concerning report from the frontier regions. What kind of report? Henderson asked, looking up from his paperwork. Several human research vessels have gone missing in the past 2 months. At first, we thought it might be equipment failures or navigation errors. But now we're getting reports of Vorthan attacks on civilian ships. Henderson set down his datapad and gave Susan his full attention. Tell me more. The pattern is consistent. Research ships working alone in remote areas are being attacked and destroyed. The Vorthans seem to be targeting vessels carrying scientific data, especially information about new species or planetary surveys. Have we confirmed these attacks? We just received a priority transmission from Captain Danny Foster at the Frontier Command Station. He's been in contact with a merchant captain named Jake Martinez, who rescued a researcher from a Vorthan attack. Henderson stood up and walked to the large window overlooking the Earth Defense Force complex. Put me in contact with this Captain Martinez immediately. The communication took several hours to arrange due to the distance and the need to route the signal through multiple relay stations. When Jake's face finally appeared on the main screen in Henderson's office, the Admiral could see the stress and exhaustion in the merchant captain's eyes. Captain Martinez, I'm Admiral Henderson with Earth Defense Command. I understand you rescued a researcher from a Vorthan attack. Jake nodded from his pilot seat aboard the Stellar Dawn. Yes, sir, Dr. Lisa Campbell. Her research ship was destroyed and she was left to die in an asteroid field. The Vorthans took her research data and tried to kill her. Can you tell me exactly what happened? Jake described the rescue operation in detail, explaining how he had received the distress beacon and made the decision to help despite the risks. He also repeated Dr. Campbell's warning about the Vorthans specifically targeting human research vessels. Admiral, Jake continued, Dr. Campbell thinks this isn't just random piracy. She believes the Vorthans are planning something bigger. They seem very interested in her research about new species and planetary data. Henderson exchanged glances with Lieutenant Colonel Wright. Captain Martinez, where are you now? We're heading toward the Darwin colony. Dr. Campbell needs medical attention and we need to resupply. But Admiral, I think we're being followed. My engineer has detected some unusual sensor readings over the past day. Followed by who? Probably Vorthans. They don't seem to want any witnesses to their attacks. Henderson made a quick decision. Captain Martinez, I'm ordering you to proceed to the nearest military outpost immediately. We'll arrange an escort to meet you. Sir, I appreciate the offer, but I'm just a merchant captain. I don't want to get involved in military affairs. Captain, you became involved the moment you rescued Dr. Campbell. The Vorthans won't forget what you did, and they won't stop hunting you. Your only safety is with our protection. After the communication ended, Henderson turned to Susan Wright. How many research vessels have we lost? At least 7 confirmed, possibly more. The attacks have been spread across different sectors. So we didn't see the pattern until now. And the Vorthans are specifically targeting scientific data? Yes, sir. They seem particularly interested in information about new species, planetary surveys, and technological research. Henderson walked back to his desk and began making notes. This isn't random piracy. The Vorthans are gathering intelligence for something. They're studying our research to find weaknesses or advantages. What are your orders, Admiral? Send a message to all human colonies and outposts. All research vessels are to travel with escorts from now on. No more solo missions in frontier regions. And what about Captain Martinez? Henderson looked at the star charts on his wall, showing the vast expanse of human space. Send the cruiser Valiant to intercept him. If the Vorthans want to hunt humans in our territory, they're going to learn that we protect our own. Susan Wright left to carry out the orders, but Henderson remained in his office, staring at the intelligence reports. A merchant captain had risked his life to save a researcher, and now the Vorthons were hunting him for it. This was exactly the kind of situation that could escalate into something much larger. He picked up his secure communication device and placed a call to General Patricia Adams, the head of Earth's military forces. "Patricia, we need to talk. The Vorthons are testing us, and I think they're about to learn something important about human nature." The emergency meeting of the United Defense Council took place in the secure conference room deep beneath Earth's military headquarters. General Patricia Adams sat at the head of the long table, her stern face reflecting the gravity of the situation. Around her were representatives from every major human colony and military branch, all connected by secure holographic links from across human space. "We have a problem," General Adams began, her voice cutting through the tension in the room. "The Vorthons are not just attacking random ships. They are systematically targeting our research vessels and now hunting civilians who try to help." Admiral Henderson stood up to present his findings. "In the past 2 months, we have confirmed 7 attacks on human research ships. The pattern is clear. The Vorthons are stealing scientific data and killing witnesses. Yesterday, they began hunting Captain Jake Martinez, a merchant who rescued Dr. Lisa Campbell from one of these attacks." Governor Helen Martinez from the Darwin colony raised her hand. "Admiral, what makes you think this is more than simple piracy?" "The Vorthons have always been aggressive toward smaller ships, because they're not taking cargo or demanding ransom," Henderson replied. "They're specifically targeting research data. Dr. Campbell's ship was carrying information about a new species discovery. The Vorthons took that data and tried to kill her to cover their tracks." Commander Steve Parker, head of the Earth Fleet, leaned forward in his chair. "General, what are you suggesting? That the Vorthons are preparing for war?" "I'm suggesting that they're gathering intelligence about our capabilities and our territory," General Adams responded. "They're testing our defenses and studying our research to find weaknesses they can exploit." Dr. Karen Walsh, Earth's chief military scientist, activated her datapad and projected holographic displays above the table. "I've been analyzing the pattern of attacks with our intelligence team. The Vorthons are particularly interested in our biological research, planetary surveys, and technological development studies." "What would they want with biological research?" asked Colonel Robert Shun from the Mars Defense Force. "Information about new species could tell them about potential allies or enemies," Dr. Walsh explained. "Planetary surveys would show them which worlds might be valuable for colonization, and our technological research could reveal our military capabilities." General Adams stood up and walked to the large star map that covered one wall of the conference room. "The question is, what do we do about it? The Vorthons have made it clear that they consider our territory to be open hunting grounds." "We could increase patrols in frontier regions," suggested Admiral Henderson. "Escort all research vessels and establish more military outposts." "That would tie up most of our fleet," Commander Parker pointed out. "We don't have enough ships to escort every civilian vessel in human space. Then what do you suggest?" General Adams asked. The room fell silent as everyone considered the options. Finally, Governor Martinez spoke up. "What about this merchant? Captain who rescued Dr. Campbell? What's his situation?" "Captain Jake Martinez is currently being hunted by Vorthon forces," Henderson replied. "We sent the cruiser Valiant to escort him to safety, but the Vorthons are determined to silence him. So a civilian risked his life to save one of our researchers, and now he's being hunted by an alien military force," Governor Martinez said. "What message does it send if we can't protect him?" Dr. Walsh looked up from her datapad. "There's something else. Dr. Campbell's research contained information about Vorthon technology that she observed during the attack. She noticed weaknesses in their shield systems that could be crucial if this situation escalates." General Adams returned to her seat and looked around the table at the faces of Earth's leaders. "We have 3 options. We can increase defensive patrols and hope the Vorthons lose interest. We can negotiate with them and try to reach some kind of agreement. Oh, we can send a message that makes it clear what happens when you threaten human civilians. What kind of message? Asked Commander Parker. The kind that shows the Vorthans that humanity protects its own, no matter the cost. The debate continued for hours. Some representatives argued for a defensive approach, while others wanted to negotiate. But as reports came in about more attacks, and the continued hunt for Captain Martinez, the mood in the room began to shift. Finally, General Adams called for a vote. All in favor of full military mobilization to protect Captain Martinez and send a message to the Vorthans. One by one, the representatives raised their hands. The vote was unanimous. Commander Parker, I want every available ship prepared for immediate deployment. Contact all military bases, defense stations, and colonial fleets. Tell them we're implementing Protocol 7. Commander Parker's eyes widened. Protocol 7 was the emergency mobilization order that had never been used before. It called for every human military vessel to be placed on active duty and for civilian ships to be converted for military use if necessary. General, Protocol 7 means mobilizing the entire human fleet. Are you sure about this? Commander, a merchant captain, risked everything to save a researcher. The Vorthans are hunting him for that act of courage. If we don't respond with everything we have, what does that say about our values? Dr. Walsh spoke up. General, with Dr. Campbell's research data, we might have a significant advantage against Vorthan technology. If we're going to make a stand, now might be the best time. How long will full mobilization take? General Adams asked. 48 hours for the main fleet? 72 hours for full deployment, including converted civilian vessels, Commander Parker replied. Make it happen. Send a message to every human ship, station, and colony. Tell them that a human asked for help and we're answering that call. Admiral. Henderson stood up. General, this is the largest military operation in human history. Are we really going to mobilize everything for one merchant captain? General Adams looked at him with steel in her eyes. Admiral, that merchant captain represents everything we stand for. He risked his life to help someone in need. If we abandon him now, we abandon our principles. The Vorthans need to understand that when you threaten one human, you threaten all of humanity. Within hours, the mobilization order went out across human space. Military bases came alive with activity as ships were fueled, armed, and prepared for deployment. Civilian vessels were inspected and converted for military use. Reservists were called to active duty. The entire human civilization began moving with a single purpose. Captain Peter Collins received the order aboard his battleship Earth's Fury at the Jupiter Defense Station. Commander Lavra Kim got the message on her carrier Defiant Spirit at the Alpha Centauri shipyards. Hundreds of other captains and crews across human space received the same order. The message was simple but powerful. A human helped another human and is now being hunted. We are going to bring him home. For the first time in human history, every available ship, every trained crew, and every resource was being mobilized for a single rescue mission. The Vorthans had wanted to test human resolve. They were about to get their answer. The massive human fleet moved through space like a metal storm. Admiral Henderson stood on the bridge of the flagship Humanity's Shield, watching hundreds of ships maintain perfect formation around him. The view screen showed vessel after vessel, stretching into the darkness, their running lights creating a constellation of human determination. Admiral, we're receiving confirmation from all battle groups, reported Communications Officer Lieutenant Sarah Blake. The fleet is at full strength and ready for combat operations. Henderson nodded as he studied the tactical displays. Never before had humanity assembled such a force. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, and converted civilian vessels all moved together with a single purpose. The sight was both magnificent and terrifying. Any word from Captain Martinez? Henderson asked. His last transmission was 6 hours ago. The Stellar Dawn is still being pursued by Vorthan forces, but Captain Collins in the Earth's Fury reports he's closing in on their position. Far ahead of the main fleet, Jake Martinez was fighting for his life. The Stellar Dawn shook violently. as another Vorthan plasma bolt struck their rear shields. Sparks flew from damaged control panels as Amy Johnson struggled to maintain their course through the debris field of an old battle site. "Shields down to 30%, Alex Rodriguez shouted over the noise of failing systems. "We can't take much more of this punishment." Jake gripped the pilot controls tighter as he maneuvered between the wreckage of ancient ships. The Vorthans had been chasing them for 2 days, getting closer with each passing hour. Their superior speed and firepower made escape almost impossible. "There," Amy pointed to a cluster of destroyed vessels ahead. "If we can hide in that wreckage, maybe we can lose them long enough to repair our shields." Dr. Campbell sat in the corner of the bridge, her research datapad clutched in her hands. "Captain, I've been studying the Vorthan ships during this chase. I think I found something important about their shield technology. What did you find?" Jake asked while dodging another plasma shot. "Their shields have a rotating frequency pattern. Every 47 seconds, there's a brief moment when the shields realign. During that time, they're vulnerable to weapons fire." Jake steered the ship into the wreckage field, using the destroyed hulls as cover. "That's useful information, but we only have 2 plasma cannons. Even if we hit them during their weak moment, it probably won't be enough to stop them." "Maybe not," Dr. Campbell replied. "But if we can get this information to a larger fleet, it could make the difference in a major battle." Behind them, War Commander Thexkar was growing impatient. His battle group of 5 ships had been chasing the human merchant for days, and the prey kept slipping away. The other Vorthan commanders were starting to question his ability to handle such a simple task. "Commander, the humans have entered the wreckage field," reported Captain Vextel. "Our sensors are having difficulty tracking them through all the metal debris." "Then we go in after them," Thexkar ordered. "I want that ship destroyed and all witnesses eliminated. The humans need to learn that interfering with Vorthan operations has consequences." The Vorthan ships moved into the wreckage field, their weapons ready. Thexkar was confident that his superior forces would quickly find and destroy the merchant vessel. But as his ships spread out to search the debris, something unexpected happened. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching our position," the sensor operator reported with alarm in his voice. "Multiple ships, human configuration, moving at high speed?" Thexkar looked at the tactical display and felt his blood run cold. Dozens of energy signatures were approaching fast, far more than any normal patrol or escort force. "How many ships?" "I count at least 50 vessels, sir. And more are appearing on our long-range sensors." At that moment, Lieutenant Tony Miller in his reconnaissance fighter burst out of hyperspace near the wreckage field. The young pilot had been sent ahead of the main fleet to locate Jake's ship and assess the situation. What he found made him immediately contact Admiral Henderson. "Admiral, this is Lightning 7. I've found Captain Martinez's position. He's trapped in the Nexus wreckage field with 5 Vorthan ships closing in on him." Henderson's voice came through the communication system clearly. "Lieutenant Miller, you are to make contact with Captain Martinez and inform him that help is on the way. Do not engage the Vorthans unless absolutely necessary." Tony pushed his fighter toward the wreckage field, dodging debris and Vorthan patrol ships. He managed to get close enough to the Stellar Dawn to establish communication. "Captain Martinez, this is Lieutenant Miller with the Earth Defense Force. Admiral Henderson sends his regards and wants you to know that the cavalry is coming." Jake's voice crackled through the static. "Lieutenant, we're in pretty bad shape. Here, our shields are almost gone and we're running out of places to hide. Hold on, Captain. You're about to see something that will make this whole chase worthwhile." As Tony spoke, the first wave of human ships dropped out of hyperspace. "Captain." Peter Collins and the battleship Earth's Fury appeared first, followed by Commander Lavra Kim's carrier Defiant Spirit. Then came cruiser after cruiser, destroyer after destroyer, until the space around the wreckage field was filled with human warships. On the Vorthan flagship, Thexkar stared at his sensors in disbelief. "This is impossible. No one mobilizes this. Many ships for a single merchant vessel." "Commander, I'm counting over 200 human ships and more are still arriving. The sensor operator reported with fear in his voice. This is a full fleet deployment. A full fleet for one merchant? Vexkara's voice was barely a whisper. What kind of species mobilizes their entire military to save a single civilian? Captain Vextel looked at the tactical display showing the massive human force. Commander, perhaps we should withdraw. This is far beyond our ability to handle, but Vexkar was too stunned to respond. He had spent years studying human military capabilities, but he had never imagined they would respond to a threat against one of their civilians with such overwhelming force. The implications were staggering on the stellar dawn. Jake and his crew watched in amazement as ship after ship appeared around them. The space that had been empty moments before was now filled with the most powerful fleet in human history. Jake, Amy whispered, they came for us, all of them. Dr. Campbell stood up from her corner, still holding her research data. Captain, I think you're about to become very famous. No one in the galaxy has ever seen a response like this. Admiral. Henderson's voice filled the bridge of the stellar dawn. Captain Martinez, this is Admiral Henderson. You are now under the protection of the United Earth Defense Force. The Vorthans will not harm you or your crew. Jake looked around at his small bridge, then at the massive fleet surrounding them. Admiral, I don't understand. Why would you send so many ships for a merchant captain? Because, Captain Martinez, you risked your life to help someone in need? That's what humans do. And when someone threatens a human for doing the right thing, we respond with everything we have. The hunt was over, but the real confrontation was just beginning. The space around the Nexus wreckage field had become a standoff that would be remembered throughout galactic history. On one side, 5 Vorthan ships led by War Commander Vexkar found themselves surrounded by the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. On the other side, Admiral Henderson commanded over 300 vessels, all focused on protecting one merchant captain who had done nothing more than help someone in need. The silence stretched for long minutes as both sides assessed the situation. Admiral Henderson stood on the bridge of humanity's shield, his hands clasped behind his back as he studied the tactical displays. The Vorthan ships were powerful, but they were hopelessly outnumbered. More importantly, they were now facing the combined might of human civilization. Admiral, the Vorthans are requesting communication, reported Lieutenant Blake from the communications. Station, put them through, Henderson ordered. Let's hear what they have to say. The main view screen flickered to life, showing War Commander Vexkar on the bridge of his flagship. The Vorthan commander's yellow eyes were filled with a mixture of anger and confusion. His scaled features showed the strain of trying to understand what he was witnessing. I am War Commander Vexkar of the Vorthan Empire, he began, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being feared. You have assembled a massive fleet to protect a single merchant vessel. This is beyond my understanding. Admiral Henderson stepped forward so that Vexkar could see him clearly. Commander, I am Admiral Henderson of the United Earth Defense Force. The merchant vessel you have been hunting is under our protection. Your pursuit ends here. Admiral, you have mobilized hundreds of ships for one human. In all my years of military service, I have never seen such a response. Why do you commit such resources for a single individual? Henderson's expression remained calm but firm. Because that individual risked his life to help someone in need. Captain Martinez could have ignored the distress call and continued safely on his route. Instead, he chose to save Dr. Campbell from certain death. That choice represents everything we value as a species. Vexkara's confusion was evident. But he is just one person. Surely, the strategic value of your fleet outweighs the importance of a single merchant. Commander, you don't understand humans very well. We don't measure worth by strategic value alone. Captain Martinez showed courage and compassion. Those qualities are worth protecting with everything we have. The Vorthan commander looked at his tactical displays, showing the overwhelming human presence. You would risk war with the Vorthan Empire for this? We would risk anything to protect our people and our values, Henderson replied without hesitation. The question is, are you willing to start a war over your failure to capture one merchant ship? On the stellar dawn, Jake Martinez listened to the exchange with growing amazement. Dr. Campbell stood beside him, her research data still clutched in her hands. The small merchant vessel sat in the center of the massive human fleet like a protected child surrounded by guardians. "Jake," Amy whispered, "I think we're witnessing something that will change everything." Alex looked up from his repair work on the damaged systems. "I never thought I'd see the day when the entire human fleet would come to save a cargo hauler." Dr. Campbell stepped forward. "Captain Martinez, may I suggest something? I have information about Vorthen shield technology that could be crucial if this turns into a battle. The fleet should have this data." Jake nodded and opened a communication. "Channel to Admiral Henderson. Admiral, Dr. Campbell has important information about Vorthen technology that might help if shooting starts. Patch her through to our tactical department immediately." Henderson ordered. Within minutes, Dr. Campbell's research data was being transmitted to every ship in the human fleet. The information about the 47-second shield rotation cycle spread through the fleet's tactical computers. If the Vorthens chose to fight, humanity would have a significant advantage. War Commander Thexkar watched his sensors as the human fleet adjusted its formation. Something had changed in their tactical positioning, but he couldn't determine what. "Analysis, what are the humans doing?" "Unknown, Commander. Their fleet positioning suggests they're preparing for coordinated assault, but their weapon systems remain on standby." Thexkar realized that his situation had become impossible. He was outnumbered 60-1, surrounded by the most powerful fleet in human space, and his prey was now completely protected. But more than that, he was beginning to understand something profound about human nature. "Admiral Henderson," Thexkar sighed, reopening the communication channel, "I must ask you something. If our positions were reversed, would you have done the same?" Henderson considered the question carefully. "Commander, if one of your people had risked their life to save someone in need, and then was being hunted for that act of courage, what would you expect your empire to do?" "I would expect them to consider the strategic implications and act accordingly," Thexkar replied. "And we acted according to our values. Captain Martinez represents the best of humanity. When someone threatens that, we respond with everything. We have." The Vorthen commander looked around his bridge at his officers. He could see the fear in their eyes as they realized the magnitude of human commitment. "You mobilized your entire civilization for one act of compassion." "That's exactly what we did," Henderson confirmed. "And we'll do it again if necessary." Commander Rachel Stone, head of diplomatic relations, stepped forward on the flagship's bridge. "Admiral, I'm detecting ships from other species approaching our position. Word of this confrontation is spreading." Henderson nodded. "Put them on long-range sensors. Let them see what happens when someone threatens a human." Across the galaxy, other species were indeed watching. The massive human fleet response was unlike anything they had ever witnessed. Ships from the Centauri Federation, the Rigel Collective, and even neutral traders had come to observe the standoff. War Commander Thexkar made his decision. "Admiral Henderson, the Vorthen Empire withdraws from this engagement. We will not pursue the merchant vessel further." "And the attacks on human research vessels?" Henderson asked. "Will cease immediately. The Vorthen Empire acknowledges that human space is under your protection." Henderson nodded. "Commander, I want you to understand something. This isn't just about Captain Martinez. This is about the message we're sending to the galaxy. When you help a human, Earth remembers. When you threaten a human, Earth responds." The Vorthen ships began to withdraw, their weapons powered down. As they departed, Thexkar sent one final message. "Admiral, my empire will remember this day. The galaxy will remember that humanity mobilized everything for one act of kindness." "Good," Henderson replied. "Let them remember." As the Vorthen ships disappeared into hyperspace, the human fleet began to disperse. But the message had been sent and received. Across the galaxy, species that had witnessed the confrontation understood something new about humanity. Captain Jake Martinez found himself aboard the flagship, shaking hands with Admiral Henderson. "Admiral, I still can't believe you brought the entire fleet for me." Captain Martinez, you saved Dr. Campbell because it was the right thing to do. We came for you because that's what humans do. We protect those who show courage and compassion. Doctor. Campbell stepped forward with her research data. Admiral, this information about Vorthan technology could be valuable for future encounters. Doctor, your research and Captain Martinez's courage have given us more than tactical data. They've shown the galaxy what humanity stands for. The word spread quickly through space. Other species began to understand that humans operated by different rules. They protected their own with absolute commitment, and they valued individual acts of heroism above strategic considerations. In the years that followed, the rescue of Captain Martinez became legend. The day humanity mobilized its entire fleet for one merchant captain became known as the moment when the galaxy learned that helping a human meant earning the protection of Earth itself. Jake returned to his merchant roots, but he was never just a cargo hauler again. He had become a symbol of human values, and the galaxy would never forget the day when those values mobilized the largest fleet in human history.